Hello world, welcome back. Another great episode of After the Break with me, J. Paul. Today's guest, a filmmaker, an actor, a producer, a multimedia company owner. He is Brian Reveals Media and the Dynamite Network actor, director, Brian Reveals.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Great intro. I feel like that's the show.
Stop it.
That's the show.
That says it all. I mean, just mentioning your name. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that. Very warm introduction. Happy to be here.
Hey, man, great body of work that you produced. I mean, let's go down the list. And we'll start 13. Decisions. Love Bites. Steel, the movie. Sick Money. Blood Thicker Than Danger. Take No Prisoners. Also, the Brian Reveals Show. Yeah, man, you got some work, man.
There's a lot of projects, J. Paul, that we have out there that we haven't even released on the Dynamite Network's YouTube channel yet. So, one thing that I have to say is that like our effort that we are putting into our projects right now is strictly about short films. Now, I'm new to the filmmaking game. And the Dynamite Network is a new effort as well. And so I don't want to be the kind of filmmaker that's going to come out and say, yeah, we could do these feature-length films and we're going to kill it at the block, with blockbusters, we're going to kill it at the box office. That's just not the way that it goes for most established filmmakers who really understand the business aspect and who really understand what it's like to build a relationship with their audience. And for me, I was very modest with my effort in starting the company, starting the network. And I really had an opportunity over the last few years to get my feet in the door with some of the relationships that I've built with many of the projects that you just named. And also, and I know we're going to get into it with some of the projects that we have in-house. But I'm just excited to get started. And excited to make a difference, which we are definitely going to do this year. So thank you.
Let's get into some of the stuff you've already put out just to tease us with. Okay, your most recent short film, Alter Ego, you played dual characters.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, man, because it's very relatable to, I'd say, everyday life. Me personally, I mean, that's something I say all the time. We're all multiple people on different occasions, and just to adapt. And so the movie that you put out and the characters you played, man.
Wow. So it's so interesting how this happened because my team, we had a conversation and they said, we got to put some work out. We got to do it. We got to do something. We got to let everybody know what it is we working with. And, I said, okay, give me a minute. I am, everything that you just mentioned. So I really wanted to be methodical and I wanted to be controversial and I also wanted to be impactful because I don't want to just put out anything for the sake of it and then have it be something that doesn't really transform people. That's why we built the company and that's the reason why we're in the space to try to really push the mark towards innovation. So of course the goal was a short film. And I wanted to keep it simple. And I wanted to focus on the story itself. I wanted to focus on acting. And I wanted to focus on cinematography. Those were the three core elements that I started this vision with for my alter ego. And so what really inspired this was when Kamala Harris was running. And a lot of people were saying, well, she's not really speaking to Black men. And then when she came out with her, and I think it was four really, and I'm just going to say four core tenets for Black men. One of them that really stood out for me was mentorship and mental health and how much, even at the time, I had my own personal feelings about it, but how much it actually stayed with me from a creative standpoint. And so I'm just, sitting around my place chilling. And then all of a sudden this concept came to me about doing battle internally doing battle with, depression, suicide, and all the things that suggest that mental health, really be considered in terms of a focus for Black men. So I came up with this concept. And so I sat with it for a couple of days, maybe almost about a week. And I remember a Sunday, I was literally sitting around my place and I wrote that script in 90 minutes. This is a 12-minute short film. I wrote it in 90 minutes and we shot it a few days later in a 12-hour day. 12 is pretty significant for this film. But the film was 12 minutes. We shot it in a 12-hour day. And then 12 weeks later, it was released. It was probably the quickest effort to, really put something out there, to really not just make sure that the subject matter of this film was needed, but also something that I felt would be a classic, timeless project that I don't care where you show it, what era it's the film can be showed in, it's still going to be relevant because it speaks about brotherhood. It speaks about the mental health issues, which is depression and suicide. But it also speaks about, of course, the title of the film, My Alter Ego. It also speaks about really confronting the enemy within and what happens when that takes place.
And you can catch that on the Dynamite Network and also Brian Reveals on YouTube. And man, I mean, you have great, I don't want to call it content because it's not content. These are visuals. These are very, very thought out and very well acted out, scripted out films. I mean, when I saw Alter Ego, this is what I learned about acting. Right. This is what convinces me. It's the eyes, the face. I understand all of this now. I get it. Straighten up, act right. Looking you in the eyes. You know what I mean? I get it. We were taught that when we were born. We learned it at home. And a lot of us rejected it. We didn't know the purpose of it or where it could take us. And the thing about acting, it's really a craft. It's some people to say this person has raw talent is very rare. But acting is a real talent. I went to a play a couple of months ago, King Arthur. And man, it was pretty dope here in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix, at the Black Theater. I love plays. The Dynamite Network, with close to 6,500 subscribers and viewers on there, 15 videos and half of a dozen shorts. The visuals on this particular page, man, of your channel, they are dynamite. Yeah. You know what I mean? The short of Sick Money. That's the one that caught me, man, with the father and daughter at the table. One thing I notice about directors and writers is that there's always a message. There's always a story to tell because it is a story, that's being acted or scripted out. The relationship with the father and daughter at the diner table, what inspired that scene?
So first of all, this is a short film that is one of the things that I had a conversation with a director about, who is an incredible director, and I see his book over there, so I think I'm probably going to run and get it shortly. His name is Oscar Jordan. Oscar is an incredible visionary, and one of the things that this film really caught me, because we follow each other on Instagram, so hopefully I'm certainly going to put this out so he can see it. So please make this a reel. But Oscar is an incredible filmmaker, just an incredible visionary. And one of the things that he and I had a conversation about when it comes to the actual cinematography of the film. And for those of you who may not necessarily be familiar with what cinematography is, it is the look and feel and the texture and the color and the actual appeal, but the physical representation of the film, right? How does it look? How does it, what sensations do you get from it, from what you're seeing? But it's basically a concept that allows an artist to go from, just actually capturing, footage from your film and creating the actual, picture that you're seeing. And one of the things that Oscar told me about that were inspired this film was Sin City and that classic black and white, really gritty feel. And I loved it. I think his inspiration translated so well because there is this intensity that you feel between the father and the daughter, and this moment where they cross each other's path. And I don't want to give too much away about the film, but they cross each other's path and they reconcile their relationship based on an opportunity that could really change their lives, right? Cash is involved. It's the crime, suspense, drama dynamic that I think many people appreciate. The only difference is that we don't really see an African American father and daughter in this kind of dynamic. It's always some Liam Neeson kind of a, project, but this is told in such a way where family is really what's at stake instead of the opportunity for a get rich quick scheme. That is, for me, that is an incredible story, and everybody, please check it out.
Yeah, it looks very honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's an honest movie. You want to know who your pappy is? You want to know why you don't call me daddy? Oh, now you want to call me daddy.
Yeah.
No, because one thing about children always respect the fathers. No matter what, even if your daddy say, boy, I'm going to come see you today, and he never show up, you're still out there waiting on him. I waited on the porch a lot of days, man, it's just one of them things, man. So, as young men, we all experience that. So it's great to see the feminine play that character, because that's something we never see on that level. We know the stories because we grow up seeing the girls in our neighborhood go through it, but typically not on screen like that. It's in a different dynamic, like you said, not the typical. And so that's why I said it was very honest and raw. So I like that. I would love to see the rest.
Oh yeah. It's definitely coming soon. But one of the things that we're used to seeing is this damsel in distress. Well, if you see the actual trailers, the young lady who's playing that role, there is no damsel in distress. She's like, "What do you want? Like, you bugging? Like, get out of it!" So it's very adversarial, and I love those types of stories, and I'm attracted to the kind of stories where it's really a reinvention. I think the powers that be, the gatekeepers in Hollywood, have gotten so late. Well, they've always been lazy because they always take everybody else's stuff. But what I find is that, like, it's the independent space becoming so open. The non-unions, the non-SAGs are becoming much more wider in scope when it comes to telling stories, but they're not. And I'm not trying to really dump on anybody, but I don't think they're really pushing the boundaries in many ways. I look for those opportunities, and I want to partner with those opportunities where people are telling a different story, like Oscar Jordan, like Philip Henry, Star 12 and Decisions, and many of the films that he has shared with the Dynamite Network family as a writer, as a producer. He is based in Ireland, and I think that's one of the things that I loved about his work is it stands in its own merit. These are cultural, timeless stories as well that could be shown in any era, and it will still translate. And those are the kinds of stories and films and projects that make it to the Dynamite Network. And speaking of which, we do have a pretty healthy following. But I think that's based on the work and the branding that we've built during our rollout stage, or I'm going to say pilot stage. What I could tell you is that, as we look to advance our brand, we intend on taking not just, the individuals who have supported us, but we're looking forward to providing a lot more entertainment to come. So more to come in that regard.
Well, you've already rolled a piece of that out and shown us teasers with the show, the Brian Reveal show and podcast. Yeah. You had one episode in particular about relationships and a couple. Yeah. Man, that was so there was one, and then you also had one with a popular guest to the internet, Jaguar Wright.
Yeah.
And I also noticed several interviews and sit downs with her, man. So great work with that.
Thank you.
Also, too, man, Still the movie. Uh, that's a comical film.
Yes, it is a
Yeah.
comedy. We actually just made our third film festival with the Holly Shorts Comedy Film Festival in Los Angeles. We also were admitted to the Dallas Film Festival, Alliance Film Festival, as well as the Phoenix Solstice Film Festival that's coming up June 28th, Richmond, Virginia. It is such a funny, witty movie that is very diverse. It's very zany. It has a very interesting plot. I'm in the film as well. I play this character who's hearing impaired and who likes to start fires, random fires. But I have a lot of fun
Oh
playing that.
man,
I had a
random
lot of
fires,
fun.
random
Yeah,
fires. I mean,
I had a lot of fun playing that character. I had a lot of fun producing this project. And we will just continue to share it amongst the film community, continue to go the film festival route, and eventually expand the project and make it much bigger.
I also saw you in that particular film, and I noticed you were playing a comical character,
Yep.
and that's something that I thought about. When in regards to acting, different roles require different things, and I noticed most actors do every type of character at some point in their career. You know, it's a part of the craft. Man. So it was cool to see. I said, man, look at Brian over there with the fro. I said, man, but that's great acting. I also saw you behind the camera. I also saw you pointing, giving direction. You know, how does it feel and how long did it take you to learn your craft, man? Where did it start? What was your steps? Did you start in school? Did you go to college? Like where did it start for you?
I was a business major in college, so I definitely did not get my training there. As black men, I think we get our training from society.
Mm.
I read something that said most people have 22 personalities, and some people are conscious of them and some are not. I grew up in an environment where I had to kind of deploy a lot of faces for people. And, when you are, a creative, this weird creative entity like I am, and everyone around you doesn't really see the value in that except for an exploitative um, opportunity, then you start to shield that and you start to become what you need. Um, and sometimes it's unconscious. I think when I was younger, it certainly was unconscious. So I already had my training in that before I got into church, before I got into, these school plays and, all of these other different, curriculum type of, artist training and classes in school. But I think that, and I was so shy as a kid that I never really gave myself permission to act. I never really gave myself permission to do any behind the scenes or, production level work. I didn't really get that until I started to find my voice in my 30s. I was popular on social media. I blew up on social media because of my perspectives, the way that I deliver my perspectives. And, once I wasn't even aware that I was like hit. I was like, what is 1 million views? What is that? I didn't have any context of that because, by this time I was like 5, 7, years into my career in corporate at a Fortune 500 company. So I didn't really pay attention to that. And everybody was kind of pushing me, yo, you should do your own show. You should do your own show. And I'm like, nah, not really, but the more I started to pay attention to the feedback, the more I found myself really wanting to give people who were supporting me an opportunity to feel more than what it is that I was giving. Now, maybe I was unconscious of what I was doing at that particular time, but I felt an opportunity this is a way that I can use media as a way to teach, because at my core, I'm a teacher. At my core, I'm a person who's, a philosopher. At my core, I'm a person who really operates from a place of justice and gratitude and healing. So I always bring those tenets, and I always bring those, virtues to what it is that I do. And as for acting, acting is something that, even as a kid, what that journey looks like today, it's very much like something I kind of felt like I needed to do, because in order to really raise my profile, I had a conversation with my agent, and I thought to myself, and I was like, she really don't know me. She really don't know me, because I could kill it. But I think that, in all seriousness, I rejected it. I was like, no, I could do this. As a person who had already directed, who had already produced projects, like, I'm giving people guidance in terms of how I want them to carry something out, and I'm doing it better than they can. That was my training. And I don't need to go sit in front of, at this point in my career, I may need a dialect coach, but in terms of acting skills and training, I got it down. But I really just became a professional actor in August of last year.
Really?
And yeah.
So,
but
so did you go to school for film before?
No,
Were you
no,
studying film, or how you like?
no. This is film for me, and media was all getting my feet wet and just getting out there and jumping in head first. But I have always, from a technical standpoint, I've always done my own research. I've always done my own studying of certain things. And I noticed that my interest and how I gravitated towards film was how I would watch films and projects. I would always look at it, not like a layperson, but technically, I would say, you know what, the lighting should have been like this, or why they should have panned the shot this way. I couldn't
Yeah.
separate watching a project that way, because this is who I ultimately am. So it's hard. That's why I don't really watch much, TV right now, because I mean, I'm in the business. I know what it's like. If I am, it's going to be a note that I would study to really critique how I would do something, versus watching it as a layperson. It's impossible for me to watch anything as a layperson. I want to say I officially became an actor in my alter ego. There was a scene where my character is in the bathroom and doing a face to face thing right in the mirror. And I don't know if you paid attention to it, but we rented a house for this project. And when I basically pound my fist on the sink, I break it. The sink shattered in 3 different pieces. This is a granite countertop sink that when I had really become Damon, and was really filled with rage and uncertainty, and just really needed that release, because Damon really needed a breakdown. And so I don't know what happened in that bathroom, but when
I'm
I
not
was
gonna
looking
give
in
that to you, Brian. You're not that strong, Brian. I think maybe that
okay,
countertop was made in
you want
Mexico,
to see the
man. I'm just
picture?
saying, man. I don't think you're that strong, brother. I'm sorry, bro. I don't know, man. Let's just muscle
I'll
up,
show
man.
you the picture. I'm gonna send you the picture. You're gonna be
I'm just
like,
messing,
oh
man.
yeah.
Muscle up, man. I'm
No,
just
I
messing with
did
you,
break
King.
it. Now, the thing about it is that, like, I think in that instance, I said to myself, like, I became an actor at that particular point. So I think a lot of it is really just kind of based on, an innate talent. I think a lot of it is based on, there are some people who have God-given talents. I have that as an actor, right?
Yeah, you're
It's
good.
just
You're
that,
good, man.
yeah.
To say you just learned in a year out of no, no. But you said, because I heard you mention 5 to 7 years being around it. Because you said you were in finance for 5 years and you were
No,
dabbling in acting for 5 to 7 years.
no. So what was happening is when I was becoming popular as Brian
Oh,
reveals, right, on social media, because I was at that point, I was getting anywhere from like thousands, in many cases, like millions of views. So at that particular point, everybody was telling me you should start you a podcast, which I think is something that it was a distraction. It was really a distraction for me and really my job because I was at that point, I was 5 to 6 years. I think that for me, if I
doing
would have
social
done
media,
that,
5 to 6 years doing social media.
yeah, 5 to 6, not
Oh,
not just
wow.
5 years doing social media, but I think it was 5 to 6 years in my career, you know,
Mm.
5 to 6
And you
years
were
in my
just,
career at that point. So I was like, I can't quit my job and do this.
I notice a lot of people transition to social media in that form, podcast, a show format to sit people down, because it is a way to produce a great dialogue for change in the world. And I do believe that whoever gets their eye on the right content and the right dialogue and the right framework could really be inspired for change and betterment globally. And you had a story, man, that you shot with a lady about her story on the Dynamite Network and Brian Reveals. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, thank you for that because I think this is a very transformative documentary that we're working on in a very, very incredible and important project. The name of this documentary is called Take No Prisoners, the Lavinia Masters story. Lavinia Masters, Dr. Lavinia Masters, has worked with the Texas government in 2019 to help pass a law to eliminate the backlog of rape kits in this state. She's made ostensible moves and gains as it relates to some of the systemic issues as it relates to sexual assault survivors. For example, she's done a few things, but one of the things that she's done is every time someone goes to renew their driver's license or to get a driver's license, if you flip over your driver's license, there's a little box that you check. And if you check the box and you want to be able to donate towards the effort to reduce the backlog or eliminate the backlog, $5 actually goes to that mission. So this helps provide the fund. One of the additional ways that the state has set asides where through the public's donation and involvement, this is something that can be done to really help the survivors. Now, the thing about it is that most people don't really know that. Most people don't really understand the dynamics of how significant rape kits are, not only when it comes to helping women and sexual assault survivors really find healing and getting their case vindicated, but it also frees people who are in prison wrongfully convicted. There's a two-sided fold to that. But I think that, for us to be able to tell this story, for us to be able to look at the importance of, not just the work that Lavinia has done, but let's talk about rape kits. I love Lavinia. I've known her for 20 years. She's an amazing person. There are certain people that you meet where they are automatically family to you, automatically family. I met her when I was like 20 years old. We used to work together. She used to teach me a lot. As this young, sort of ratty looking kid who really didn't have two nickels to rub together. It was my first corporate job. And she treated me like little bro. And she and I have maintained that dynamic even to this day. She calls me nephew. Which I think is hilarious because I'm like, we're actually like closer in age. But I love that. I love that dynamic about her. She's just an incredibly light person. And when I saw her on CNN talking about this, I was outraged and I was angry because how can something like this happen to somebody like that, like her? And I immediately started to think about what can I do? And this is my effort. So this film is an important film. Again, it will be coming out on Christmas Day. That's our mission, is to have this come out Christmas Day. I haven't announced it anywhere. I just keep saying it's going to come out this winter. But definitely Christmas Day is my goal. This is a very, very intense project, but it is also something, just on another layer of this, this is also something that will be a love letter to Black women. This will be a love letter to Black women. And the vision that we have to really tell a very bold, vibrant, aesthetically beautiful, sonically beautiful effort. We gonna have some people mad at us, but we're also gonna have some people that are going to champion our efforts, because I don't want to do anything like what somebody else has done. They already did it. They already got the job, but I got my job. And I just being able to appreciate just the community's effort to get behind me and make sure that we do something that's socially responsible, but also socially conscious, and give people an instruction guide and what can you do, because we're not going through all of these different exercises so you can sit back and say good job. No, we want you to get off your ass and go do something. That's what this effort is about. So take no prisoners, they live in a master story, coming to you this winter.
Yeah, and I believe that's a very important story. Her story helped me understand a lot of women that I've crossed paths with, one specifically my mother. And man, I tell you, this is a great story, and I do believe it'll be a healing process for a lot of people. And like you said, a love letter, because a lot of stories like this have not been told. We always avoid this conversation, but it's a reality. So thank you for producing this and directing this, man.
Yeah.
Great story.
Absolutely. I think the other thing is that it is an uncomfortable topic.
Yeah.
But we're all adults. And just because something is uncomfortable, that doesn't mean people need to be defeated by it. We're all adults here. I'm not trying to coddle anybody's feelings, because nobody coddled hers. Nobody is trying to coddle the women and men who have been sexually violated, and children who have been sexually violated in this country and abroad. And if we don't have a guide for inspiration, activism, and we always talk about what's the solution, I'm sick of that question, because people don't really care about it. And so we're intentional with what this project will be, how it will be leveraged, and who it will be available to. Yes, we do want people to see it, but our goal is not to have this sweeping film where, we are just wanting to make sure that we sell 1 million tickets. If it happens, I think that's fantastic. But this is a multi-purpose goal. It is a passion project for us. And I think that for us, the goal is to understand that, using media as a technology, as a social information technology engine, I think is going to be something that I think will really, 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 really fuck a lot of people up, because they're gonna be like, "How the fuck did you do this movie?" And I think we got a lot of that with My Alter Ego. I've had nothing but positive reception of it, but I think just in terms of taking this up a notch from a vibrant standpoint, I think this is going to blow a lot of people away.
So
Yeah.
is that what you're aiming to do with Brian Reveals Media? Because
Absolutely.
there are, yeah. So
Yeah.
what are you doing with Brian's Reveals Media?
So I got in this to be a market disruptor. I got in this to be innovative. I got in this to build community. I got in this to have a contribution. I don't want to disrupt anything that anybody is doing. Netflix is Netflix. Hulu is Hulu. Ryan Coogler, Tyler Perry. The list goes on and on. I appreciate what everybody is doing, but we can all have a contribution. With 8+ billion people that we have to share this rock with, I think that everyone's contribution should be allowed. I think that everybody's contribution should be allowed. Whether or not it's respected, that's not my business. That's not my problem. I know that there's a lot of people who may not necessarily understand or gravitate to or appreciate what it is that Brian Reveals Media is doing. My goal is you're not my audience. I will never beg anybody to appreciate what my contribution is. But what I will do is make sure that I'm focused on the people who do. That's what matters to us. That's why we're doing it. We're not trying to galvanize things in a very predatory way. But we know that we have a position that belongs at the top. And that's why we're doing it.
Absolutely, Brian. I hear you on that, man. And you're doing an excellent job so far. I mean, with Brian Reveals Media, the Dynamite Network, every time I say dynamite, I want to say dynamic because your visuals, the clarity, even with the Brian's Reveals show, man, everything you do, the quality is A1. It's when the first time you see it, no matter what you click on and you're attached to, it is just that. And you can tell that you put great effort into your production. And man, what you're producing and putting out here, man, is not slopped up and chopped up like they say in Texas. You know, man, I appreciate the quality, man, because as a content creator myself and someone who's getting into the arena that you're already in, I'm learning. And what you produce is what I look at and aspire to be able to produce because that is the bar. That's the standard. You know, from the time we first saw any visuals on television or any production or stage, we know that there's a certain standard that makes something stand out. You know, and what you're producing through Brian's Reveals Media, man, you said just that and you're being true to your word and your mission, man, is staying true to it. The Brian's Reveals show, before we get out of here, man, tell us what we can expect on that.
Oh my God! Well, we can expect the series finale. We can expect this is the end of the Brian Reveal show. I'm going to try to get it out this year. I'm going to say this winter. I'm not really in a rush for it because the Brian Reveal show was how I started out. And again, this is from everyone saying that you need to do a podcast, you need to do a show, blah, 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 blah. And I did. And it was heavily received. But I was never really passionate about it. I was never really focused on it. I felt like for me, it was an avenue to find my voice, which actually led me here because this is what I ultimately always wanted to do. But everybody was saying you need to, everybody loved my perspective because I could frame things or position things in a way that would do two things. Authenticate what people are already feeling and give people an opportunity to look at things from a different perspective that they had not considered before. And so I did it well. I had 3 seasons and we did a lot, not to mention, me just actually having a voice and a presence on social media in the past that actually got me to that point. And for me, what does that look like going into the end? I don't know. The format I feel like, especially where I am right now, just as a creator, or as a creative, I want to do something that people are gonna watch, and is difficult because I feel like I've ran out of things to say. And when you don't have a voice, you don't talk. And so I have to be inspired and motivated to do that. I do have an opportunity to really make it significant in terms of my last season. I just have to figure out what is that going to be and what do I have to say.
So, Brian, with all the nonsense that's going on in the world today, you tell me you can't think of anything to say.
No. I just put it into the film because it gives me a lot more flexibility. See, as an actor, a filmmaker, I can't, it's people's contexts. It's so narrow that even if I were to make a film and, put the same messaging in it, it's easy to digest and saying, you shouldn't vote for Donald Trump. And then all of a sudden I'm on Fox News and I'm canceled and it's the whole thing. So it's interesting how, as a creative, I need to be able to kind of tailor that line.
As long as you have skills to film and produce on camera, you can always express yourself broader. And that's the thing that I see in the characters produced, what I saw on the Dynamite Network and Brian Reveals media and everything you have out on YouTube, man. I would love to see something that is extensive. You know what I'm saying? You're teasing us with the shorts. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Give us something, man. Let us buy it on bootleg. You know what I'm saying? Something.
Oh, it'll never do bootleg. But one of the things that,
you will never do bootleg.
I will never. I don't have to. But my thing is,
because it looks great, man. It looks great. That's the thing, man. It's like, damn, let me get some more.
Absolutely. The thing about it is that I having to come out with shorts was very intentional, right? It gave me an opportunity to get my feet wet because even though I had worked on projects before, I've never worked under my umbrella. So in order to raise my profile,
I got to say this real quick and I'm going to put you in a single frame only because this is worthy of this moment. And because I'm a brother. You're saying some good stuff, but I got to say it. I'm going to see, when you're saying something real like that,
right?
And people be like, man, shit, you too good, man. You too good, brother.
Yeah, but so the thing about my entry point into this industry, under my footprint, under my umbrella, there has to be a process. And just because you go viral, just because people may recognize you, just because people may stop you on the street and say, yo, I know you from, that doesn't really negate the process. And if it is to be done in a certain order, then you have to follow pretty much the template that is available at that time. I didn't want to get around it. That wasn't my personal choice. I wanted to have whatever my journey allowed me to have in terms of making sure I understand whatever the process is, making sure I build relationships, make sure that I understand the business aspect of it. Because as a person who teaches at universities, one of the things in terms of curriculum that you can verify for yourself, there is no business strategy course. I make sure as a person who had a 20-year plus corporate career prior to being a self-sufficient entrepreneur, is I had to make sure that I understood the business, because that's how people get paid. People are always crying about, oh, you want me to do something for free? You damn right. Because there's not enough money out here, and the money is the money is not going to you. So either you self-fund, or you have to probably try to ride from Peter to pay Paul with these relationships that you're building in order to get something sustainable. So shorts allowed me to be able to really understand all of those things before I can get to the feature. Now, Take No Prisoners, the Lavinia Master story, that will be a feature, right? And plus, we have a ton of projects that are coming out after Take No Prisoners that are features. We're pretty much done with shorts. I don't see a problem with shorts. I think, especially in the TikTok world that we live in now, where the average attention span is like less than 3 seconds, I keep telling everybody that shorts is going to be the way to go. This is the feature. This is the future in film.
I can see that. We're going to start
to see less and less. We're going to start to see more shorts.
I mean, when they look like yours, everyone that I've seen, every content creator that I've seen, that do parodies of movies or try to, recreate scenes from other films, they typically go into short film form. I mean, that's kind of what it is. But what you're doing is original writing, original stories, original visuals, but it's top tier. The it looks like a movie already, is what I'm saying. And you know that. And although that may be the move, I think that it's things like this that with a person with your skill set and it will propel you to continue to do full length films like you mentioned. You started here on the mic doing something similar to what I'm doing, and it propel you to where you are now, man, doing films, man. And I want to applaud you for that. I want to encourage everyone out there to check out Brian Reveals and continue to support him if you do already. Tell somebody and tell a friend. And if you told them already, tell them again. Also the Dynamite Network. And also you can find those both on .coms. That's BrianReveals.com and the DynamiteNetwork.com. And Brian, man, before we get out of here, man, if there's anything that I missed, tell the people how they can get in contact with you on social media or any other way.
Absolutely. First, let me say thank you for this has been a very fun hour. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Thanks for being with
I
me.
think it's a privilege to come here and share with you some of the things that we're working on. And I appreciate you for allowing the opportunity for me to share with your audience. As you mentioned, you can find me at find me on the Dynamite Network YouTube channel. We really need to get some engagement there. I think our engagement is quite strong. You can certainly find me there. The Dynamite Network YouTube channel, right? If you just go to YouTube in the search bar, just type in the Dynamite Network, you can see a lot of, and really, our entire library of short films, live music performances, interviews, you name it. To me, I think it's a very robust, very boutique opportunity to really just see what we have out there and a lot more to come. I'm just excited to really continue to share with everyone our creative vision, which is basically reimagining media, deepening storytelling, having a very sensory, dynamic experience as it relates to the visibility and the sound quality of our films. So just follow us again. Also, you can follow us on Instagram, the Dynamite Network, and happy to answer any questions you may have. You can DM me. I'm pretty accessible, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much, good brother, for gracing me with your presence. Much respect to you, Brian, man, and thank you so much for sharing and spending your day with me, man, and giving me this time, man, and sharing with the world your work. And world, please support, please check out, please view, and share it with a few. Brian Reveals, thank you for being with me, good brother. Respect and salute.
All right. Take care.
Till next time. We're gone.